Hey folks, take a look at that view behind me. Is that not amazing? This coastline is incredible. But today I want to take you into chapter 4 of the book of Philippians, and just that first section, and then I'll explain thereafter. It says this: "Therefore, my brothers, you whom I love and long for, my joy and crown, that is how you should stand firm in the Lord, dear friends." And then he goes on to talk about Euodia and Syntyche. Now, these are two ladies who were in the church, and his inferral here is about what it means to stand firm. And then he tells you those ladies' story. These ladies had been at conflict with one another in the course of the church, and there was a measure of forgiveness that needed to happen. There was a measure of reconciliation that needed to take place between these probably strongly opinioned ladies. And so he's encouraging them to reconcile. Now, you all know that there can be no reconciliation without forgiveness. But I think the forgiveness links very carefully or intimately with that which he says, stand firm. You see, in order to stand firm, people, you've got to be able to stand firm with a forgiving heart. We all want to stand firm on the things that we begin to believe. We all want to stand firm on the things that we hold to as issues of my personal preference and stuff. But he's telling them to stand firm and to put aside their silly, sometimes, issues that they may have. And he's saying in order to reconcile, you need to stand firm by forgiving. Now, we all know the importance of standing firm, do we not? We look at a building, and a building stands upon a foundation. If you want to shake the foundation of your Christian experience, it's not based on some theologies or some great teachings. It's based upon forgiveness. Your forgiveness by God is prerequisite to that foundation standing firm, but you can break that foundation so easily by not forgiving others. When we stand on the foundation of the forgiveness of God, we're on a firm foundation, because God is never not going to forgive us. He's never going to say, well, listen, your policy is up, you're a forgiveness risk, like an insurance policy would. But he's going to say continually, forgive, forgive, forgive. Not without consequences to ourselves, mind you. But when it comes to breaking that foundation, here's how you do it. You just don't forgive others. And when you don't forgive others, your own foundation will probably be firmly shaken, radically shaken. Now, in order to forgive others, if you want to go back, I don't know how many years, we did a series on forgiveness, and you can maybe kind of go to the archives and find that forgiveness series. But here's basically the few things you need to do in order to forgive. First of all, never wait for an apology. If you're waiting for an apology from someone who's hurt you or wronged you, you could wait forever. And if your forgiveness is based upon an apology, then you're on shaky ground. Remember Jesus? Jesus forgave us before we had an opportunity to ask forgiveness. He said, even if you don't ask forgiveness, I'm going to forgive you. Father, forgive them. They just don't know what they're doing. And so if you base your forgiveness upon somebody apologizing to you, you're not being like Jesus. Jesus forgave even though we never asked for it at the time. The second thing you've got to do is you've got to remember that forgiveness has to land somewhere. Because whenever there's a need for forgiveness, there's an associated illness, and that is guilt, which can lead to shame. Somebody's got to own the guilt. But in Jesus' case, the guiltless owned the guilt. I wonder if that wouldn't be something we may need to do. We're very partial to passing guilt to somebody else, making them feel guilty, lay the guilt trip on them because they may have wronged us. Jesus never did that. He said, let me not just take your sin, but let me take your guilt as well. Ooh, this forgiveness thing is a tough thing to do, is it not? To say, I will absorb and I will assume the guilt of the guilty so both of us can be set free. Only big people, only mature people are able to do just that. And then there's another thing you have to do, is you have to learn to remember to forgive and forget. Now, I'm glad this comes up now, because 2 days ago we spoke about reprogramming our mind. and beginning to push those things back in our minds that we couldn't forget, because you're never going to forget them. Your mind has got them. They're there. You don't delete this stuff. But if you can reprogram the things that people have done to you that needed forgiveness, and slowly just move them back into the archives of your minds, let the cobwebs, as we said, grow over those things by reprogramming, disciplining your mind to pushing those things further back. Go back a couple of days and watch that devotion if you need to reflect on it. And then the last thing that you've got to do, it's the toughest of all, is you've got to do something good for the one you have forgiven. Think about Jesus. Not only did he forgive us, but he's given us heaven as well. Not only did he forgive us, but he's given us security here on earth in a relationship that he has initiated for forgiveness, where he forgave us before we had an opportunity to ask for forgiveness. He has absorbed the guilt of the guilty me. My guilt Jesus has taken. He has given us all of this, and now he gives us heaven as well. Man, that's a tough order for forgiveness, but that's the order that we all need to forgive in. I hope you just maybe go back on this devotion and watch it again and just sit with each one of those things. Don't wait for an apology. You absorb the guilt of the guilty and you do something good for the person who has offended you. And I want to tell you, your freedom will come flooding in when you do as Jesus did. That will never shake, or your foundation on Jesus' forgiveness will never be shaken if we forgive like that. Man, this is a tough lesson, but it's a good one. We can do it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.